Welcome to the Kate Hill Show on Radio Arder, and this week I have a lovely guest in the studio, and we're going to be talking about young people and social media. So welcome, Natalie.
Hi, thanks for having me.
You're welcome. And why did you choose to talk about young people and social media? What was it that triggered that?
I think it's just the most relevant thing right now. It affects everything. Love Island final coming up tonight.
Okay.
And there's been a lot of interesting stuff in the papers about that and backlash about how their contestants use social media and the negative effects it's had on them. So I thought it'd be quite interesting to bring it up in your show today.
And it's actually a subject that I find very interesting as well, because obviously young people these days, they grow up with social media. Mm-hmm. I didn't. So I want to know, from a young person's point of view, you know, you were talking to me earlier on about Will Smith's children. What was it you said?
I saw an article that was saying how they're both off social media, they're having a cleanse because they feel like it's negatively impacting their mental health at the moment.
Okay.
Which I feel like, even though they're celebrities, a lot of young people can relate to.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. Because if we're thinking about social media and bullying, you know, I don't know many people that weren't bullied. I was bullied at school, but the thing about it was, when I got home from school, that was it. It ended. But it's not like that anymore, is it?
Exactly. You can switch off. You used to be able to switch off, but now it's constant. It's like a constant culture of comparison.
Yeah.
That's there, available all the time. And the people who use it are so young now, you know, 12, 13. They grow up with this, thinking that this is a way of life, like this is how life is, you know?
Well, you know what baffles me as well about social media are the so-called trolls. You know, the people that seem to be out there looking for any post that they can make a negative comment on.
I mean, seriously,
warriors. Yeah, what is that all about?
I honestly don't know. I feel like these people are the people normally in society who are just very quiet and never actually would say their opinion out loud in face to face.
Yeah.
They're
Quite possibly. I think the thing with social media is that people feel that they can say what they want, but they're behind a screen. You know, my thing is, would they actually say it if the person was in front of them?
No. And we see that time and time again, because recently, as more and more young people become famous through reality TV shows, for example, there's people that scroll through maybe their Twitter from years ago, and they get pulled upon one comment that implies maybe something racist or homophobic, or something that's like classed as bullying, and that's it, their reputation, everything's ruined. So it's always there. You can't hide from it. You're not anonymous when you write something online. People will find you.
Yeah. I think this whole cyberbullying thing, though, I think it's definitely something that needs to be explored more. There needs to be more laws, and I think the perpetrators of the bullying need to be brought to task more, because I think it's a terrible shame that there are young people. I think the youngest person I read about that had actually taken their own life was about 10 years old, and it was, I believe, a young boy who actually put himself across a train line.
That is shocking. See, I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, I mean,
the age says a lot. And was he on social media?
Yeah, I was absolutely horrified. I wonder what all this is doing to young people's mental health. You know, I mean, what are your thoughts on it as a young person yourself? You've obviously grown up with social media. Do you use social media a lot?
Yeah, I actually love it. I think it's great. It's an amazing way to stay in touch with people that perhaps through life you'd normally lose contact with and never be able to find them again. You know, there's so many positives to it, but I think there's not enough done about the negative things behind it that are going on. And I think I saw something, I read something the other day, saying how it's the first time that the younger generation have one up on the older generation. It's the first time that they know more about something than people older than them.
Yeah, I'd never thought of that. Yeah.
Which is interesting, because it means that the people in power and who have the ability to do anything about it, they don't actually understand how it works well enough, and, you know, all the connotations of different interactions.
Well, we've been talking about the whole bullying aspect, but then you've got to think that I remember watching a documentary a little while ago about how young people are learning about sex through watching porn. And you think, what, young people are watching porn? Seriously?
Horrified.
Yeah, but of course, like you say, the younger generation know more about how to get round certain things. So if there's blocks, they can get round it. And they're actually, I mean, seriously, that I'm just horrified, because for a young person to learn about, you would hope, love, respect, the whole sexual experience, to learn that through porn, I think really what is going to happen to the younger generation, and I'm absolutely horrified as somebody that's older, you know.
I completely agree, because there's not enough regulations on websites, and places like Facebook and Twitter, they have a responsibility to protect, like, the social fabric, if you know what I mean. Even though they say they don't, ultimately we're a business, this is what we do, we want to make money, they have a lot to answer for, because they're now a superpower in the world. Instagram recently,
good way of looking at it,
have recognised this, the culture that's created, you know, the like for like culture. They're now, which I think is a good thing, removing the like system from their photographs, because I think that in itself gives people anxiety these days, you know, and that's not a good way for people to learn, young children to learn, okay, this is how we socialise, like, you do something for me, I'll do something for you. That's how friendship works, and it's not. Those friends and people that like your photos, they're not your friends. They don't care. They're doing it from self-motivated reasons, and it's just, I think it's really unhealthy for them to learn that that's how friendships are made.
So you touched on Love Island, which, you know, I know there's lots of people out there that love watching Love Island. I can honestly say I've never seen an episode. It's not my bag. But also, I know that in the media recently there has been 2 people from Love Island that have taken their own lives.
Yeah.
Now, we could say that part of that is to do with the social media aspect, but I think it also has a lot to do with media in general, the newspapers, and how they're perhaps portrayed. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. It is everything to do with the media and the way that it sort of catapults them into the limelight constantly. And then I think what a lot of them struggle with is when that falls away, because ultimately their fame is based on a reality TV show. So it comes and then it goes pretty much straight away after a year, for most of them, the majority. So it's hard to sort of find that balance in their life where they're kind of famous for 5 seconds and then they can't maintain that lifestyle anymore. They can't maintain the image that they've created for themselves through their, like, social media channels. So that's what a lot of them, I do wonder,
you know, we've touched on it, but I do wonder with the whole social media thing, the long-term effects it is going to have on people's mental health. I read somewhere where, you know, if somebody puts up a post on Facebook or, you know, some other social media, and and they post something and they get so many likes, the feeling of euphoria that they get from that. And of course, it's very short-lived. So again, people want to post more, to get more likes. What do you think the long-term effects to do with mental health? Have you any thoughts on that?
Well, actually, I was reading a few articles before I came in, and they are starting to directly link depression and anxiety in young people with social media use, because the effect of receiving likes and attention online does actually release dopamine in your brain, which is the same chemical as drugs use, which drugs sort of promote. Yeah. But that's why it gets addictive. And when people are hitting, 1 million likes every post for 4 or 5 weeks, and then like the Love Islanders, for example, their sort of fame wanes a little bit, they get back into real life, they're normal people again, and they're not hitting that anymore, it kind of just invalidates everything they're doing. All of a sudden they just think, oh, actually, well, I've had a really good time this weekend, but I don't have 2 million likes anymore, so maybe I haven't had a good time, which is really sad.
I think I struggle as well when you can see a group of people that have maybe gone out for a meal and they've all sat around the table and they've got their phones, their faces in their phones, and then all of a sudden someone will say, right, selfie, and it's like all big smiles and happy.
Literally.
And I think they are giving such a false representation of their evening out. Yeah. I also think these apps where, it changes your eyes, so your eyes look bigger, and, you can have your hair and I think when you see the person in real life, they don't look like that, I think our expectations are being warped, so we have an expectation of what a person looks like. We can meet them in real life and they're nothing like that whatsoever. Photoshopped pictures, again, in the media give a false representation of even what celebrities look like. So this has got to have an impact on our mental health, because as ordinary people, we're always striving, we look at celebrities, oh, I'd love to look like that, but actually they don't look like that.
Yeah.
I wonder how far this is going to go before there's a complete turnaround, or is there going to be a turnaround?
I think there will be a turnaround, because there are a few key celebrities now who are sort of doing a bit of a 180 from that, like putting out perfect images of themselves all the time and starting to try and say, okay, no, this is like me when I just woke up this morning. This is me with a silly face and a triple chin. People like Maya Jama, Jamila Jamil, who's a TV presenter. They're all trying to like push for more realistic images to be put on social media, rather than just people's highlight reel, if you like, the highlight of their night out. But it has the effect that, say, if you were to stalk them on their social media profile and see it one after the other, in your brain you're like, okay, this is this person's life, but these are only the key little 1 second snapshot of like 6 months of their life. And it's so easy to just forget that sometimes. I mean, I don't know about you. Like, do you feel like that as well? Like, do you have Instagram or Facebook?
I do have Instagram. I use it mainly to promote the artwork that I do, or workshops that I do. But I'm not going to lie. Of course, I get a buzz when people like it. You know, it's one of those, isn't it? Have you had any personal experiences yourself where perhaps maybe someone has made a negative comment, or you felt like you were being bullied, or I mean, obviously I don't want you to divulge anything that you don't want to, but
no, it doesn't actually come from like a personal experience, but probably experiences with my friends, like close friends, because I'm not really a selfie person. I try to be quite real. on all of my social media accounts, like give a balanced representation of myself. But I definitely, like, I have so many friends that use airbrush apps, and, you know, it's just, these people are not happy people.
Yeah. But that says a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's quite sad, really.
Yeah, it is really sad, because there's nothing wrong with how they look.
Yeah.
You know, but it's just everyone wants to achieve perfection, don't they? And even in their own heads sometimes it's like warped, what they're seeing. They can't even, you know, they don't look like them anymore. But yeah, it's a hard cycle to break.
So before we wrap up then, what would be one bit of advice maybe that you could give to young people out there? Do you think sometimes they need to take a break from social media?
I think a break is always good, because it makes you realise how long you do actually spend on social media. And it makes you just try and think of, okay, how do I feel after I've scrolled through Instagram for 1 hour versus how do I feel if I've gone outside for a walk and physically met up with my friends face to face for a drink in the pub. And then try and have that in your mind. And also follow like role models, people who do things that you're interested in, you know, people who make you feel good about yourself online, rather than a select few models who all look the same and, you know, advertise milkshakes rather than food. Yeah. People like that. Well, Kardashians, I'm not going to say anymore.
Natalie, thank you so much for that. I think we could have spent so much longer talking about it.
Definitely.
And I'd definitely like to get you on again. So there we have it. That was today's show with the lovely Natalie. But that's me. Thank you very much. And make sure you tune in on a Tuesday evening, 6 p.m.